Libra, my beloved air sign of balance and truth. What if I told you that tomorrow, October 10th, could be the day that changes everything? That a truth you never saw coming is about to reveal itself, and when it does, you might cry. Not because you're weak, but because you'll finally see something you've been silently carrying. Clearly. This isn't a generic horoscope reading. This is a moment of divine timing. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. You were called. You were energetically aligned to hear this message, and something deep within you knows it. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where every reading is guided by cosmic precision, divine intention, and spiritual truth. As the sun continues to move through your sign, Libra, you are being illuminated. But tomorrow, on October 10th, something rare and powerful occurs. Pluto, the planet of hidden power and transformation, forms a sacred sextile with your sun. This is no ordinary transit. This is cosmic surgery. This is the universe choosing to lift the veil, not to punish you, but to free you. The cards we'll explore today speak volumes. The Tower has shown up, loud and unapologetic. It brings a sudden shake, a disruption, a crumbling of illusion. The Justice card, your card, Libra, stands in quiet authority, reminding you that clarity is coming, and it will be fair. And Six of Cups. Someone from your past is returning, but not for drama. They come with a message, a truth, or a missing piece. Libra, you're known for grace under pressure. For seeking peace, even when it costs you. But the message today is different. It's not about holding it together. It's about letting the truth fall where it must. Because what breaks now is not your life, it's the illusion that kept you from fully living it. I know you. You don't cry easily. You carry everything in silence. But this time, the tears will come not to drown you, but to cleanse you. And afterward, there will be space, for relief, for clarity, for rebirth. And if you're still watching this within the first few minutes, it's already happening. Your energy is responding. Your soul is nodding. Something in your field has shifted. So before we go deeper, take a moment to anchor this. In the comments, write, I am ready to receive the truth, even if it shakes me. Let that be your sacred contract with the universe today. Let me also pause to thank you truly for being here. Every like, every comment, every share and subscription helps this channel continue offering transformative messages like this one. You are not just a viewer, you are a part of the soul family that makes this sacred space possible. And your support, it's felt deeply. Stay with me until the end, because what the universe is about to reveal through these cards and through the stars themselves is not just a message. It's a mirror. And Libra, when you look into it, you will finally see yourself in truth, not reflection. Let's begin. Sometimes, it takes just one unexpected shift to show us that what we've been building on is no longer strong enough to hold who we're becoming. The Tower card doesn't arrive with gentle whispers. It enters with a jolt, not to punish, but to awaken. It reveals to us, with undeniable clarity, the structures in our lives that were never as stable as they seemed, the belief systems we inherited without question, the relationships we stayed in out of habit, the job titles we clung to for security but not for soul. The Tower doesn't destroy the truth. It destroys the illusion that's been protecting us from it. What's coming tomorrow may feel sudden, a phone call, a message, an unexpected comment in a conversation that pulls back the curtain. You may find yourself hearing words you weren't ready for, or facing a reality that makes the ground beneath your feet tremble. But underneath that quake, something beautiful stirs. A deeper part of you, the one that's been waiting patiently, finally gets room to breathe. Pluto's sextile with the sun in your sign isn't just another astrological footnote. It's the cosmic permission slip to say, you're allowed to let go. You're allowed to stop pretending that something still works when it no longer does. And more importantly, you're allowed to rebuild stronger, freer, wiser. And here's the part many forget: the tower doesn't fall because you failed. It falls because you're ready for more. It's not a sign that you've made a mistake, it's a sign that you've outgrown the container that once held you. That container might be a routine that's drained your spirit, a connection that's run its course, or even a version of yourself that no longer reflects your truth. And when it breaks open, so do the parts of you that were quietly waiting to be set free. From a numerology lens, the vibration of 10 out of 10 reduces to 2, a number of choice, balance, and mirrored reflection. It's as if the universe is holding up a mirror tomorrow, asking you to decide: will you cling to the comfort of what's known, or step into the growth of what's real? That's not a rhetorical question. It's one that only you can answer. It's also okay to be scared. Let's be honest, change is rarely convenient. But if you've ever looked around and felt that something's off, that you've been going through the motions while your soul stayed quiet in the background, then this may be your moment. It doesn't mean walking away from everything. Sometimes it just means walking away from the illusion that you have to keep everything standing when you're crumbling inside. If you're someone who believes in divine timing, then perhaps this moment is your personal miracle, not the kind that moves mountains, but the kind that moves your heart. The kind that whispers, it's time to be honest with yourself, even if that honesty breaks something. And maybe, just maybe, what breaks will become the cracks through which the next version of you will rise. Don't rush to fix it. Don't rush to understand it all at once. Let the tower do what it's here to do. Trust that clarity follows chaos, that alignment follows release. You don't need to know what's next. You just need to stop pretending you're okay when you're not. And tomorrow, if something shakes, let it. It might be the most sacred shift your soul has ever known. If you feel this message in your chest or gut more than in your mind, don't ignore it. Instead, comment below with the number that comes to your heart first. One sacred number. Let that be your anchor, your signal to the universe that you're ready to face the truth and receive whatever comes with it. And so here we are, standing before the Justice card, a mirror held up not by circumstance, but by your soul. When justice appears, especially in a reading for Libra, your own archetype, it does not come to accuse or to punish. It comes to clarify. It arrives like still water after a storm, reflecting what has always been there, but now with precision and truth. This isn't about getting even. It's about realignment. About a sacred return to what has always been meant for you: fairness, balance, and integrity. For many of you, the weight you've been carrying hasn't just been about a broken relationship or a delayed decision. It's been about the unspoken moments where you let things slide, tolerated what was unfair, or stayed quiet to keep the peace. But peace without truth is only silence. And silence, when used to avoid confrontation, becomes a prison. Justice invites you to unlock that door. The shift that's unfolding now is not external. No judge, no employer, no friend or foe holds the gavel. You do. The courtroom is within. And the verdict? It begins with self-recognition. You are finally able to say, "That wasn't okay and I stayed too long." Or, "I forgave, but I never healed." Or maybe even, "I let myself shrink so others could feel tall." And none of that makes you weak. It makes you aware. And awareness is the first step in reclaiming your power. There's a quiet kind of strength in choosing not to re-enter what once broke you. When the door opens again, and yes, it will, justice reminds you that you have the right to walk away, with grace, with dignity, and most importantly, without needing closure that never came. Closure is an inner decision, not an external gift. As someone who has studied not only astrology and energy work, but the human patterns behind pain, I've witnessed time and again that when people begin to honor their own sense of right and wrong, not the world's version, but their own inner compass, life begins to reconfigure itself around that truth. It's as though the universe breathes a sigh of relief and says, "Ah, finally, you're ready to be seen clearly." Justice is not revenge. Justice is restoration. It's balance returned first in your heart, then in your circumstances. And yes, this also echoes a lesson I've heard in faith-centered communities, that sometimes God doesn't move the mountain, but instead gives you the clarity to walk around it. The miracle is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is you, choosing yourself quietly in a moment no one else sees. That's the divine alignment. That's the sacred shift. If you feel overwhelmed right now, that's okay. You're not required to fix everything overnight. But you are invited to stop abandoning yourself to protect the comfort of others. You are invited to set the boundary, write the letter you'll never send, or simply say, "This ends with me." You don't have to shout. You don't have to burn bridges. Justice isn't loud. It's firm. And it's final. If this message resonates, and you feel it stirring something in your chest, take a breath. Write down in the comments, "I choose inner justice. I release the weight that was never mine." Let it be a small act of liberation. A signal to yourself that you are no longer willing to carry what doesn't belong to your spirit. From this point forward, let every decision you make be an act of devotion to your truth, not just the truth that's easy to live with, but the one that sets you free. You may not have expected it, but sometimes the past has a way of arriving precisely when you're finally strong enough to face it with open eyes and an unguarded heart. When the Six of Cups appears, it's rarely about reliving memories, it's about revisiting them through the eyes of who you've become. Someone from your past, perhaps a name you no longer say out loud, or a face that has slowly faded from your mind may return. But this isn't about picking up where things left off. This is about bringing closure to what was never truly finished. What they bring may not be tangible. It could be an apology, long overdue. A confession you never knew you needed. Or even just a look, a gesture, a message that reminds you how far you've come since the last time your stories crossed paths. And you might cry. But not out of pain, out of release. Out of the sheer relief that the page is finally turning. Because for some of you, the past hasn't just lingered, it's haunted you quietly, coloring your choices, shaping your fears, and making it hard to fully receive the love or clarity you deserve. This moment isn't here to reopen old wounds. It's here to finally let them heal. Healing doesn't always look like reconciliation. Sometimes it looks like recognition. The recognition that yes, it mattered. That yes, it hurt. And that no, it wasn't your fault. And sometimes, the closure doesn't even come from the other person, it comes from your decision not to let their absence continue shaping your self-worth. In astrology, this return of the past often coincides with energetic portals, moments when the soul craves resolution so it can evolve. And when paired with the numerological vibration of 2 on this day, the universe is asking you to choose. Will you continue carrying what no longer nourishes you, or will you let it go with grace? That choice, though deeply personal, is one of the most sacred acts of self-respect. You don't need to know what to say when they appear. You don't have to pretend it never hurt. But you do owe it to yourself to be present to meet this re-emergence, not with fear, but with clarity. Your intuition, refined through time and experience, will tell you what this moment means. You won't need proof. Your body will know. The tension in your chest, the flutter in your stomach, the shift in your breath, these are your soul's signals. It's okay if this moment takes you by surprise. It's okay if you thought you were over it. Sometimes the heart stores memories differently than the mind. And when the past knocks, it's not always to reopen doors, it might just be to show you that you've outgrown the room. Think of this as the quiet work of divine timing. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just unmistakably clear. The kind of moment that makes you pause, breathe deeper, and remember who you were. And who you no longer have to be. And if your heart is heavy when that person appears, remember, you are not here to perform forgiveness. You're here to experience freedom. Let your boundaries guide you, not your guilt. Let your dignity speak louder than your old emotional reflexes. If this message speaks to something you've quietly carried, take a moment to anchor your energy. In the comments, write, "I release the weight of the past and choose peace now." Let that be your quiet ceremony of release, your conscious act of choosing yourself again. Because this chapter, whatever it was, is not who you are. You're the one who turned the page. Something in the air shifts when Pluto harmonizes with the Sun, and if you're attuned to the subtleties of your emotional landscape, you'll feel it. This is not the kind of astrology transit that shows up with fireworks or drama. It's the kind that moves like deep water under the surface, reshaping you quietly, powerfully, from within. On October 10th, with this exact aspect in play, what's been false or forced will no longer feel livable. Not because someone else calls it out, but because you simply can't hold it inside anymore. You might find yourself stepping back from a relationship that has looked good on the outside but has hollowed you out on the inside. You might find your voice cracking open to speak a truth you've been afraid to admit even to yourself. And you might finally begin a new chapter, not for approval, not for applause, but because it's aligned. Because it's real. Because it's time. There is a kind of sacred courage that comes with choosing what's real over what's safe. And that's what this alignment asks of you, to stop performing a role that was written for you by someone else's expectations. Maybe it was family. Maybe it was culture. Maybe it was a version of yourself that once helped you survive but no longer helps you grow. Whatever it was, this is your chance to step out of the costume and into your essence. In the energy world, we often say, like attracts like. That's the law of attraction in its most basic form. But what we don't always say is this: before you can attract what's real, you must first release what's false. You cannot call an authentic love, honest work, deep joy if your hands are still gripping the masks and the performances. Pluto doesn't destroy you. It strips you back to your truth. And that truth is magnetic. Your transformation doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be honest. Maybe it starts with a small moment you saying no when you usually say yes. You telling the truth when it would be easier to stay quiet. You choosing solitude over staying in the wrong place. These are the moments that build the bridge to your next version. Astrologically, this moment holds massive potential. And we support that shift with color energy as well, not just for beauty, but for symbolic alignment. Sapphire blue brings clarity and intellectual integrity. It sharpens the mind and awakens the third eye, helping you sense what's real and what's a projection. Pearl white brings truth to the surface, revealing what's been hidden beneath politeness or pretense. And soft silver gray helps you release gently, not with anger, but with maturity and trust. You don't have to have a dramatic exit. You just have to know when you've outgrown a space and allow yourself to rise beyond it. In my work with clients navigating big shifts like this, I often share something simple, not spiritual dogma, just a quiet reminder. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming someone true. The more you choose truth, the more life reshapes around it. You will lose things, yes. But what remains will be real. If any part of you feels this message was meant for you today, take a moment and write in the comments, "I choose what is real over what is safe." Let that be your intention, your energy signature on this moment of alignment. The universe doesn't need your perfection, it simply responds to your clarity. And this is the moment to become clear. There are moments in our journey when the most powerful thing we can do is allow the tears to fall. Not because we are broken, but because something within us is finally softening after being held too tightly for too long. If tomorrow you find yourself overwhelmed, if emotion rises without warning, don't resist it. Let the tears come. Let them fall freely into the soil of your soul, because that's where new life begins, not in the silence of suppression, but in the vulnerability of release. Tears are rarely just about sadness. Often, they carry the weight of years of staying quiet, of holding everything together, of trying to be strong for everyone else. When you cry after long periods of holding it all in, that isn't weakness. It's evidence of your courage to feel again. It's the body's way of saying, "We're done pretending now." You might cry because someone finally sees you. You might cry because you've given yourself permission to walk away. Or you might cry because, for the first time, you can forgive yourself for all the ways you've been trying to survive. In energy work, emotional release is one of the highest forms of realignment. What has been stuck begins to move. And the moment you allow yourself to cry without judgment is the moment you open a door. Behind that door, freedom, healing. A version of you that is no longer built on control, but on clarity. The tears don't erase your story, they soften its edges. They make room for a different ending. From a psychological and even physiological perspective, tears are regenerative. They release stress hormones, calm the nervous system, and return the body to a state of balance. But they also hold memory, emotional imprints. When released consciously, with grace and safety, they act like spiritual rain, washing away residue you didn't even realize you were carrying. I've seen it again and again in healing spaces that the tears people are most afraid of are the ones that hold their deepest breakthroughs. And sometimes, in the quietest of prayers, or the simplest of morning moments, something opens. Something shifts. You feel the gravity of the truth, yes, but you also feel the mercy in it. That soft whisper inside that says, you're allowed to feel this. You're allowed to let go. You don't have to keep carrying what was never yours. If you're someone who has built your life around holding it all together, the strong one, the peacekeeper, the planner, this might feel unfamiliar at first. But healing doesn't always look like strength. Sometimes, it looks like letting yourself fall apart in the privacy of your own heart so that something truer can be rebuilt. And here's a quiet reminder, even the most radiant souls have their moments of collapse. Even the most composed hearts break open. That isn't the end. In fact, it's often the moment something sacred begins. We are not defined by the tears we shed, we are refined by them. So if the tears come tomorrow, or the day after, don't rush to stop them. Let them be part of your ritual. Let them be your offering to your own becoming. In the stillness that follows, you'll hear a voice, your voice stronger and clearer than ever before. If you feel ready to claim this emotional rebirth, write in the comments below, I welcome my release. I allow my tears to heal me. And let that be your anchor. Your quiet act of power. Because in every tear shed with truth, something false dissolves. And in that space, something new, something beautifully real begins. Libra, as you step forward into the energy of October 10th, ask yourself with honesty and compassion, are you willing to live in alignment with your truth, even if it means letting go of what once felt safe? Are you ready to stop guessing, stop performing, stop compromising your heart just to hold something that no longer holds you? Because what's arriving isn't a warning, it's an invitation. An invitation to choose yourself, clearly, quietly, powerfully. You've heard the messages. You've felt the resonance. Now it's time to take what you've learned and ground it into your daily life. Not as a concept, but as a commitment. What's one truth you've been afraid to admit to yourself? What's one step, no matter how small, you can take to honor that truth tomorrow? You don't need a dramatic transformation overnight. Sometimes the most courageous thing we can do is whisper, I'm done pretending. Sometimes the bravest act is a pause before saying yes, a breath before saying no, or a choice to walk away from what dims your light. Healing is rarely loud, but it's always real. So before you go, take a breath with me. Inhale clarity. Exhale permission. Then write in the comments below, I receive my truth and I am ready for Libra's destiny on October 10th. Let those words become your energetic signature, a line you draw in the sand between who you were and who you're becoming. And if you feel moved to go even deeper, here are a few gentle self-care practices you can use to support this shift. For your body, keep things light tomorrow. Avoid heavy, inflammatory foods. Start your day with warm water, a bit of ginger and honey. Let your system feel supported and soothed. If you can, take 5 minutes to breathe consciously. No phone, no noise, just you and your breath, releasing what doesn't belong. For your work life, reflect before you react. If a decision feels rushed or unclear, give yourself the space to wait. The wrong place will never become right if you keep ignoring the signs. You deserve more than just survival in your career, you deserve purpose and peace. For your finances, be discerning. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Ask yourself, Does this offer support my long-term integrity, or is it feeding a short-term fear? For your relationships, be honest. Not harsh, just honest. If something no longer stirs your heart, you don't have to force it. You can choose love, but that love must include yourself. Say no where you once said yes to be polite. Say yes where you once said no to protect old pain. Above all, remember, you are not alone in this journey. Every view, every like, every comment here is part of something bigger, a collective awakening. So thank you, truly, for being here. Thank you for being brave enough to listen, to feel, to face what's ready to change. If this video brought you even one moment of clarity, please take a second to like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need it. Your presence fuels the light of this community, and it allows us at Zodiac Whisper Tarot to continue delivering messages that meet you right where your soul needs them most. Tomorrow isn't just a date on the calendar. It's a spiritual checkpoint. A door. A turning point. One that leads not just into a new day, but into a more honest life. So when the moment comes, and it will choose you. Choose truth. Choose the version of you that no longer hides behind what used to feel safe. This is your time. And I promise you, on the other side of truth is freedom.